Jayson Tatum suffered an ankle injury against the Sacramento Kings on Monday. It looks like he's going to be okay, according to all the messaging coming out of the team and the beat reporters, but it was touch and go there for a minute. We're going to talk about the injury, what it means for Tatum, and what it could mean for the Celtics between now and the playoffs, right here, right now on the Celtics Chronicle. Tatum goes down. It's a Domantas Sabonis closeout. Just really landed, stepped into Tatum's landing space. It was a tough one. Tatum went straight down, grabbing that ankle, went to the back, didn't return. That was a concern. If you think about how many games Tatum plays, how susceptible you become to injury with the more you play, it is understandable to be worried, especially with how important Tatum is to this team. I think that the good news is, from what everybody said, that he was in the back, he was eating, he was laughing and joking with people. Another good aspect for Tatum is that Sacramento game was his 65th of the season, so he's now eligible for all of the All-NBA awards that he could possibly want to win. The All-NBA teams, everything like that. So if he does need to miss games, it's not going to impact his season credentials, if you want to call them that. My name's Adam Taylor. I'm coming to you from the Celtics Chronicle newsletter, USA Today, Yardbarker, SB Nation. I'm here, there, and everywhere talking Celtics pretty much every day. I'm joined by my homie, my compadre, my co-host in crime, Mr. Billy Calabrese. What's popping, Billy?
What's up? What's up?
Yo, so I'm telling you, when I saw that Tatum went down, because obviously game happened at 2 a.m. my time, it finished around 5 a.m. my time. As I was waking up, I woke up at 5:30 a.m. Generally, if anyone knows me or anyone's been following my content for a while, you'll know I turn my notifications off. I don't check anything until I've watched the game. Somebody decided to text me. And so I wake up to a text like, what do you think about Tatum's injury? Clearly, I'm not going to wait until I've watched the game to then understand what the injury is, right? So I had to break my rule, which I wasn't happy about. It's a mid-March game, so whatever, right? Tatum injury. I'm like, damn, don't tell me Tatum's done an ACL or something. I'd seen the Juju Watkins news. Obviously, my concern started to, you get that butterflies in your belly, right? If you're as attached to this team as we are, then you're like, oh, shit. Fortunately, just an ankle sprain. But I do think this opens the door for a discussion about possibly sitting Tatum for a prolonged period of time. We can jump on that in a minute, but Billy, man, you was most likely watching the game live. It was a good time for you out there on the West Coast. How did you feel just seeing that live? What were your concerns? Have you seen any reporting that maybe I've missed?
Yeah, first of all, it's the Zaza Pachulia play. That's really what he did. He's under a shooter, a 3-point shooter. You're in his landing space. Honestly, the penalties aren't enough. Like, a flagrant foul is not enough of a penalty for this. We have to get this out of the game because it ruins careers. And we're just fortunate that it looks like it's only a sprain for Tatum, but this is the same left ankle he's already had issues with. The good things, like you were talking about, he was eating in the locker room. He still had his shoes on. That's always key, because I guess you don't want it to swell up. You take it off. If it was a serious injury, they obviously would have taken off his shoe. And then when he left the arena, he wasn't in a boot. He just was leaving with a noticeable limp, but it was slight. So those are all really good things. But like I said, there has to be a way to get this landing space thing out of the NBA. The penalties have to be more severe. You have to get this out of the game because it hurts stars. Like, it literally changes the outcome. Like, Tatum was having a phenomenal game. He was on pace for another triple double. It was his 12th game of the season so far where he's missed a triple double by either 1 or 2 rebounds or assists. Like, he was on a freaking heater. It was a great game to watch. It was so much fun. It was high paced. And then it just all went to crap in a blink of an eye.
And that's the risk when you're playing against somebody like Sabonis anyway. I wouldn't call him a dirty player. I think that's unfair. I think that he plays right on the edge. He plays physical. He likes to get right into guys. And sometimes that can lead to not opportunities, that's the wrong word. Moments like what we saw against Tatum, right? Where he's just a bit overzealous, closes out a little bit too much. Tatum's cooking you, as you mentioned, and then this happens. Tatum obviously wearing them shoes after the game. I do think he's probably going to wake up today with a lot of tenderness around that ankle, some bruising, some swelling. We've seen, if you look at Jaylen Brunson over in New York, very similar thing, got that ankle injury in overtime against the Lakers. Nobody's seen him since. It seems like Brunson's injury was a higher grade. He was in a walking boot for a minute. He started being ramped back up to shooting. And the reason I bring this up is because it's a very similar timeline for Tatum. If it's a more than a grade 1 sprain, it's a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. Grade 2, it gets longer. Grade 3, then everything starts to come crashing down. I think what I'd like at the moment is it's a good idea to sit Tatum for a while now. Don't rush him back. And there's a few injuries going on around this roster, right? You've got Jaylen Brown just doesn't seem right. That knee injury, he's had knee tendonitis for a few years now. That seems to be giving him some bother. Drew Holiday's been dealing with injuries. Now you've got Tatum's ankle. I think this is a really good time to see what you've got in that deep bench unit. And I get that you might lose some games, and I get that some of parts of the fan base are like, no, you need to win as many as possible. And while part of me agrees, I feel like the rhythm's there. We've seen the Celtics just won 6 straight. We see that they're ready for the postseason. Baylor Shireman has really stepped up. He could get some minutes. Jordan Walsh has had minutes in and out throughout the season. Drew Peterson. There's players ready that can step in for JB and JT for a while. I think JT needs at least a week, 10 days off. I think that's probably what we're going to see. Get him healthy for the postseason. Now, again, just to touch on the Brunson situation, just to tie this in, so we've got a team that's in the same conference where we can look at what's going on with their star player in a very similar position and understand. The Knicks yesterday said that they're not bringing Brunson back until he's 100%, not 90, not 95, 100%, because they understand how key he will be in the postseason. I honestly think the Celtics need to take a very similar stance with Jayson Tatum. This is their opportunity. They've wanted to rest him throughout the season. He's pushed back multiple times. This is an opportunity to be like, right then, now we're going to get you back to 100%, because when you're at 100% going into the playoffs, we're just a completely different team.
Yeah, and it's so arbitrary. We all want the 60 wins. It is like a statement on the league when you win 60 games. It really puts you in that upper echelon, but we're the defending champs. It's okay if we're at 57, 58, whatever it may be. Health is more important. Jaylen Brown just looked awful yesterday, and he also got popped in the face by Sabonis. So that whole rap about like Sabonis isn't a dirty player. I really did appreciate his apology.
I feel horrible. I've had a crazy month myself personally, and you never want that to happen, so I apologize.
I thought he seemed sincere, but it's just every game he does something dirty. And in this one, he did multiple. Like I said, he popped Jaylen Brown in the face with an elbow, and then he does the Tatum play. I just don't get it. There has to be some kind of repercussions for this. Like it should be a suspension. It should be something more severe for these landing space fouls.
Yeah, and I feel like that'll be a discussion that has to happen in the offseason. They're not going to suspend him now. They can't change the rule midway through the season. Even if it does mean that somebody like Tatum gets hurt, where it's a top 5 guy, and the NBA is better when their best players are available. We all know this. What I will say is, from a Kings point of view, I remember saying to somebody the other day, oh man, when Al retires, Sabonis would be like one of my personal choices to be like the long-term Al Horford replacement. If you could find a way to bring him in. Sabonis is the enemy right now, dude. I don't want no. Sorry, my mind's changed. Now, clearly, if Al Horford does choose to retire in a year, 2 years, whenever, and Sabonis is available, my tune will clearly change. But for now, I'm all about that. Nope, Sabonis can stay on that side right now. Just touching on Baylor again, I just want to point out, there are options available to plug in for JT. You could see Torrey Craig try and get some extra minutes. He was a good pickup. You picked him up for this exact situation. If one of JT or JB aren't available, you do have Torrey Craig as like a veteran presence that can come in. Now, obviously, the talent level drop off is significant, but that's always going to happen when a top 5 guy is out of the rotation. He's one of the best players in the world for a reason. Anyone you replace him with, the talent drop off is legitimate. I like what we've seen from Shireman in recent games. I think he's playing at his own pace. I think that he's picking his shots better. We're seeing that rebounding. A lot of people seem to be shocked by the passing. I'm going to point it out that I did a deep scouting report on Shireman just after the Celtics drafted him. Went back, watched all of his collegiate film. And one of the things that I pointed out in there consistently was his ability to play with the ball in his hands, was his ability to be a secondary or tertiary playmaker. With Tatum out, there's going to be some ball handling reps on the wing. I wouldn't mind seeing what Shireman can do there, especially if Brown's going to be as turnover prone as what he was against Sacramento. Jordan Walsh is another guy you could see, gives you a little bit of explosivity, a little bit of defense. And then, of course, if you've got Craig as well, you can start looking at running more double big. Maybe you slot Nemi in and you increase Nemi's numbers. There's ways to live without JT in the rotation for 7, 10, 14 days because you need to. And there's ways to do it even if JB needs to sit, even if KP needs to sit. Will things be as pretty? No. Is it necessary? I actually genuinely believe so.
Yeah, we're about, let's say, a little over 3 weeks till the playoffs. So obviously that's going to be the priority. I do want to touch on Baylor's passing. He had a great tweet. They posted the highlight of his pass to Pritchard. I don't know if you saw that one. Really fancy pass. He shot it out.
I posted about it too.
Oh, perfect. He shouted out Jason Williams, the original white chocolate. It definitely was flashes of the original J-Dub, and it's funny to do that against the Kings. So I really appreciated that shout out.
Whenever you can do one of those and then point at NBA history after a moment like that, I'm all in on it, because a lot of these young guys coming into the league probably didn't watch a bunch of late 90s, early 2000s basketball. Some people coming into the league watched their guy. We're in an era now where it's player fans rather than teams fans. So a lot of them probably just watch PG or they watch LeBron. So having someone like that give that shout out's great. The Celtics have the depth to deal with this. I think Tatum's injury is definitely a reminder of how easily windows can close or windows can get temporarily shut when a player goes down injured, and how fortunate the Celtics have been that Tatum's been such an Iron Man throughout his career. I've got no doubt he'll be back in time for the postseason. No doubt that he'll be close to 100%, if not at 100%. But it's going to be really interesting to see how the Celtics manage him between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, because now it makes you want to put Drew in bubble wrap. It makes you want to put KP in bubble wrap. I actually think Jaylen Brown needs the reps because he just looks so lost coming back. And I know that's something that will happen over time, but I do worry it's, hey, is he back too soon? Should he have taken a couple more games off first? But on another note, with the way our schedule is, yeah, the Suns game tomorrow is going to be tough. They're on an absolute heater, especially the way Durant is playing. But besides that, the games are pretty winnable if we just have a KP, Brown, White, etc. And then if somebody can step up from the bench, whether it be Hauser missed the game last night, which is, it seemed more precautionary than anything. He's been on an absolute tear himself as well. But the depth is there. It's just, how do we decide who do we shut down? Because like I said, the KP thing is always going to linger over us. Brown doesn't look right. Drew can't shoot with this finger. Let's just be honest. Like he went from the best corner three shooter in the league to one of the worst because of this injury.
And that's been an issue all season. That was a huge part of what the Celtics did last year, was have Drew as that corner guy. They've plugged Derek White in there a little bit, but White's more on the slot than in the corner for most of the time. One of the best catch and shoot guys this year in the NBA. I think that Hauser's inconsistencies for the, if you look at his numbers, they're down across the board for his career. They're actually the low. And like, this is wild, right? Hauser's shooting over 40% this season from deep. It's the lowest mark of his career. So you're still an elite 3-point shooter, even on a bad season. What I'm getting at is there's options available to you, and I think it will be staggered rest throughout the rest of the way, especially if Tatum's out for a while. It will be, we'll stagger JB, we'll stagger KP. But honestly, with the way JB looked and the way he has looked recently, shutting him down for 10 days or something might not be the worst decision in the world either. Just let these guys rest up because they look beaten, they look banged up. They've been playing a lot of high-level, tough, physically demanding basketball for the best part of 2 years at this point. You need to start sitting some of these dudes now if you want them to be able to get through the postseason without breaking down.
Yeah, we have literally nothing to play for right now. Our seed is essentially locked. We know what we can do. We don't need reps together. I know it is really disappointing that the starters, I believe, have played 20 games together the whole entire season, but it's like we have 100 from last year. These guys have played together. They know how to play together. They know where, they need to be. And especially it will ramp up because I think we're going to get a cakewalk first round. But I do know this next couple of weeks is going to be a lot of whining because especially if we don't hit that 60 win mark.
And with that, I'm going to say they don't need 60 wins. They need a championship. I don't care about 60 wins. Get 55, 54, 58. I really don't give a shit. Go and win a chip. That means get healthy and win. We'll be back again soon with another episode of the Celtics Chronicle. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, that like button, that share button. Head over to the Celtics Chronicle newsletter, subscribe there. And make sure to show Billy some love over at Letterboxd. Billy, where can they find you, bro?
CBO041 at Letterboxd. It's been a rough month for movies, man.
Make sure you go find out why Billy's not pleased with the month of March. Everybody catch you soon. Peace.